out. The deadline passes today for the government to respond with action to the death of 2-year-old Awa Bashak.
A coroner ruled that he died from a respiratory condition caused by exposure to mould in his home, and that shocking case is by no means unique.
Now, this morning, we've reported on Skye Joseph's story. Now, she believes mould in the one-bedroom flat she shares with her 3 children is affecting their health.
Despite attempts by her housing company to address the issue, Skye says she's lived with the damp and the problem of mould throughout the 14 years she has lived in the property.
Well, Skye joins us now, along with Housing Ombudsman for England, Richard Blakeway. Good to see you too this morning as well. And we're also joined by Dr. Amir. I mean, looking at those images, Skye, it's terrifying, really. It looks like a scene from Doctor Who, where something living is creeping up the wall, and it was over all your kids' toys.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to matter how many times you scrubbed them. What's it been like living with that?
It's been horrible, really, because everything's been getting ruined. No matter how many times I replace things, it gets ruined anyway. We're talking down to cots, beds, clothing, footwear, walls. Everything's just ruined by mould, and it's sinking into everything. Wardrobes is included, furniture, it's all sinking into the wood.
So we can see the physical impacts, and you can see what it's doing to the walls. But the question is, what's that doing to you and to your little children? I mean, how's their health and your health been affected by this?
I mean, it has been affected. My 6-year-old, she was born with a heart murmur, so that took a while to disappear. She's OK now, but for the first year of her life, she was in hospital. It's quite damaging, really, because, I mean, I've done several hospital doctors' trips and stuff like that. Children always coming down with colds and coughs and chest infections, and I do believe it is impacted by the mould.
How have your landlords reacted to your... Because I'd imagine you've been speaking to them since you've moved in, you've had this problem, to try and get them to improve the property.
Absolutely. So, basically, they haven't actually done anything to solve the actual root of the problem. It's been more covered up. They come down, they wash the walls and they paint over it. And then that lasts about 2-3 weeks, and then it'll come back. And then the more I complain, the less they do anything about it.
So you've lived there since you were 17, lived there a long time.
Yeah,
23
17,
years.
yes.
So you must have seen this develop as a problem more and more.
Yeah.
Have they shown any sign of coming out and looking? Because it sounds like if the furniture's sinking into the wood, that the wood is rotting in some way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's been no assessment or repair of that?
No.
So the landlord, L&Q, have said, we are sorry for the problem that Miss Joseph has been experiencing with her home. As a social landlord, we take our responsibilities to our residents very seriously, and we're working with the family to ensure we put things right. Now, since we've been involved, and, you know, we've been at your property, and Jonathan Swain has been there this morning, things have changed slightly. I know that they are trying at the moment. What's happening with the property right now, and what are they trying to do to improve it?
So basically, since the whole outcome of the show, L&Q instantly put me in a hotel for 2 weeks, which could be extended. And they've come round, they've even managed to get storage for Saturday, I believe, to put mine and my children's things in storage, because there is no room to get to every wall.
Right.
So they're just planning on putting everything in storage to then cover up the mould, paint over it, so it looks all good on their behalf.
So you think they're... OK. But what we want them to do is get to the
they've
root.
said that they've conducted an inspection, haven't they, since you contacted them November 21, and performed certain treatments and things. Is that something you've experienced?
Not really. No, I can't say that. So basically, they, as I said, they just do the... Yeah. They just do the wash down with the painting. That's it.
So I think we've got the statement here. If somebody could show it to me. So as I say, they performed treatments and they carried out
following an inspection,
a series of work, including installing a new bathroom and replacing the extractor fan in 2018. They said you then contacted us in November 2021 to report that the issue had returned. They said they visited the property promptly and arranged a series of repairs following this assessment. Our contractors attempted to complete these works but were unfortunately repeatedly unable to gain access to the property. Now, they're saying a new programme of affairs started this week, which you've talked about, haven't you?
Yeah.
And they've moved the family into temporary accommodation. What is that issue with not being able to get access to the property, do you think? And do you recognise that maybe when you thought they were painting the walls, they were indeed perhaps inspecting and treating it?
Not at all, no. So there is times maybe I haven't been home, or obviously I have got work around my 3 children's school life, and you know, there is times where they've actually said they're coming out, and I actually haven't. I've been in all day and they haven't actually come round, or they've had to make a new date and rebook.
Richard, you know, we hear this story, hear it from Skye, and we've seen too many stories of people living in accommodation where they are faced with mould, they are faced with black mould, which, and we'll come to Dr. Amir, just how dangerous that can be for our lungs. It seems like that's not taken particularly seriously by landlords. They just try and clean it up and cover it up rather than actually get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, I haven't investigated Skye's case, but Skye's case resonates in terms of the sort of issues that I've seen in my casework over the past few years. And I think certainly your point about this issue not getting the kind of priority, the urgency that it needs is something that I have really warned landlords about. There's been a kind of culture around damp and mould, a sort of fatalism that it will just happen, that properties get old, it will just happen. Sometimes the tenant's lifestyle is blamed as the cause for damp and mould when there may actually be a repair or an issue that needs digging into, understanding and responding to. And I think that's a message which came out very clearly at this tragic inquest last year. And I think many landlords have obviously looked at this, they're changing their approach, they're responding, but the sector needs to go further and it needs to go faster, and it needs to really think seriously about how it gets its culture right around this so things aren't dismissed too lightly.
And do you think sometimes there are layers in between the actual landlord where perhaps communication could be better? Very often housing associations and also private landlords, you know, things are managed by others. It feels like for you, certainly, communication's been a huge problem, doesn't it?
I think communication is a huge problem, as you say. I think there's a couple of things to that. So I think the first thing is the resident having confidence and trust in the actions that the landlord's going to take, and the landlord being clear about the timescales in which it will take action. I think the second thing is getting the tone right. Whether the landlord's doing the right thing or the wrong thing, it's a hugely distressing situation for people. They will experience anxiety. They'll feel embarrassment, and I think empathy and communication is really important.
Let's talk about the health side of it.
Yeah, you see the sharp end, don't you, of people that are living in these sort of properties. You talked about it before, and you see the effects on health.
Absolutely. Mould is a fungus and it releases spores. That's how it reproduces. We inhale those spores. People living in mouldy, damp homes inhale those spores, and they act as irritants and toxins inside of us. So it can cause respiratory symptoms, coughs, colds, chest infections, as you were saying there. But if you've got things like asthma, it can potentially cause a fatal asthma attack. The longer people are exposed to these spores, the more likely these things are. So we have to do something about it. It's affecting our health. You said you've been to hospital several times with your children.
Yes.
And a lot of that will be linked to the mould. So it's very clear there is a link between mould and poor health.
We're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. Amir, thank you very much. Skye, thank you for sharing your story. Fingers crossed that what they're doing now will really make a difference long term, not just in the short term. Richard, thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you.